The red light above the studio door glows like a warning, and Darius Whitaker can feel every eye turning his way. Before we jump in, tell me where you're watching from today. City and state or country if you're outside the U.S. And if you're here for stories about dignity, fairness, and real accountability, hit like and subscribe right now, because this one is going to test what people think they can get away with. Darius stands backstage with a plaque warm from his hands, the kind of cheap glass that still feels heavy when it carries a whole life behind it. His hair is neat with grays at the temples. His beard is shaped, clean, the sort of grooming you do when you respect the moment you're stepping into. His suit is pressed, his shoes are wiped, his smile is steady. Beside him, Imani Whitaker adjusts the strap of her handbag and leans in close, her locks pulled back tidy, ends resting on the back of her blazer like a crown you don't need permission to wear. Out front, the sanctuary is alive. A gospel fundraiser packed to the aisles, bright stage lights, a choir still breathing from their last number, hands lifted, cameras rolling. The host, Pastor Lyle, is riding the energy like it's a wave. And tonight, Pastor Lyle says, voice booming through the speakers, we honor somebody who never needed a microphone to make a difference. Applause breaks like thunder. Darius hears his name. He hears people cheering. He hears someone shout, "That's my uncle," from the left side. He hears somebody else call, "That man saved my shop." And for a split second, his chest tightens, because this is the part where a man is supposed to feel safe. This is a community night, a gospel night, a night for giving, a night for gratitude. He squeezes Imani's hand and whispers, "We did not come here for attention." Imani whispers back, "You didn't chase it. It chased you." A young volunteer in a headset peeks around the curtain. "Mr. Whitaker, you're next. They want you to do a quick on-air thank you. 30 seconds, then they'll cue the choir." Darius nods. 30 seconds. We can do that. He breathes in. He thinks of the food parcels he's helped organize, the van he bought secondhand to deliver hot meals, the nights he drove through rain to drop medication to elders who could not get out. Unsung hero. It sounds like a title you can laugh off until you realize how many people survive because somebody stayed steady when nobody clapped. He steps towards the studio door, and that's when the manager appears. White man, mid-40s, crisp shirt, lanyard, smile that does not reach his eyes. His name badge says Brent Caldwell. Brent plants himself in front of the door like a bouncer at a club, palm flat against the frame. "Hang on," Brent says, tone casual, like he's doing Darius a favor. "We're going to swap you out." Darius pauses. "Swap me out for what?" Brent glances at the volunteer. "Give me a second." Then he looks back at Darius and lowers his voice. "We need a more presentable donor for the live mention." Imani's eyes flick to Darius. "Presentable?" Brent's smile tightens. "It's live radio, live stream, sponsors listening. You know how it is." Darius stays calm. "I'm the one you just called on stage." Brent lifts his eyebrows. "Right, and that was lovely. Crowd loved it. But on air is different. On air we have to be careful." Darius blinks once. "Careful about what?" Brent's gaze slides over Darius's face, the grays at his temples, the beard, the suit. Then his gaze slides to Imani's hair. And he gives a small laugh, like it's a joke he expects them to share. "I mean, come on," Brent murmurs. "Let's not pretend. We don't want people calling in saying the station's gone aggressive." The word drops between them like a brick. Aggressive. Darius feels Imani's hand tighten around her bag strap. He keeps his voice even. "I have not raised my voice. I haven't even spoken." Brent holds up a calming palm. "See? This is exactly what I mean. You're getting worked up." Imani steps forward, still polite, still measured. "Sir, you're blocking the door. He's been invited. He's meant to do a quick thank you." Brent's eyes flick to her locks again, and he smirks. "And you?" he says quietly. "I don't know who told you that hair is suitable for camera, but let's just say it doesn't read the way you think it reads." Imani goes still. It is not just an insult. It is the way he says it, like she should be grateful for the correction. Darius exhales slowly through his nose. His mother taught him, long before he grew into a man with grays and responsibilities, that some people will poke you until you react, then point at your reaction like it proves their story. So he does not react. He simply says, "Move, please." Brent's smile widens and his voice gets louder, just enough for nearby crew to hear. "Mate, relax. You're being a bit much. We're doing what's best for the broadcast." A couple of staffers glance over. A volunteer freezes with a clipboard. Somebody in a headset looks away like they don't want to be involved. That's humiliation number 1. Not a shout, not a slap. A quiet little scene where a man is framed as a threat just for standing where he was told to stand. Pastor Lyle's voice echoes from the stage, filling the gap. "Let's get that hero on air." Darius can hear the crowd still clapping, still expecting him. Brent leans in. "Here's what we'll do. We'll let Pastor do the on-air thank you, and we'll bring up one of our regular donors, someone the listeners recognize." Darius stares at him. "You mean someone white?" Brent's face stiffens and he gives a fake chuckle, too loud like he's performing now. "Whoa, don't make it about that. That's not a good look." Imani's voice is calm, but it cuts. "You just made it about that." Brent's eyes harden. "Listen, I'm trying to keep this smooth. The last thing we need is drama, especially with the license review coming up." Darius catches that. License review. He watches Brent carefully. What license review? Brent realizes he said too much. He shifts, then recovers. "Nothing you need to worry about," he says quickly. "Just station admin." Darius nods slowly, like he accepts it. Then he says, "Move, please, or explain to Pastor why you've blocked me." Brent's jaw ticks. He glances towards the stage, where Pastor Lyle is smiling into the crowd, blissfully unaware. Brent lowers his voice again. "Don't do that. Don't embarrass yourself." Darius looks him in the eye. "You're doing that already." For a second, Brent looks like he might shove him. Not hard, just enough to make Darius step back and look like the problem. Instead, Brent points past Darius at Imani and says softly, cruelly, "Honestly, if you lot just presented better, these things wouldn't happen." Imani's lips part, then close. She swallows once. And in that swallow is every time she's been told her hair was too much, every time she's been looked through, every time someone made her feel like she needed to apologize for existing. Darius turns his head just slightly and speaks to Imani, not Brent. "Breathe," he whispers. "Don't give him the story." Imani nods, eyes glossy but steady. A woman's voice comes from behind a rack of equipment. "You're live in 90 seconds. It's the sound engineer, Keisha Morgan, black woman, late 20s, focused, professional, eyes sharp like she sees more than she says. Keisha looks at Brent. "Are we letting him on or not? Because my levels are set." Brent waves a dismissive hand. "Change of plan, we're swapping him out." Keisha's eyebrows lift. "Swapping him out? He's the honoree." Brent gives her a look. "Keisha, don't start." Keisha's gaze flicks to Darius and Imani. She reads their faces. Then she says quietly, "Copy." But when she says it, her fingers move, quick and subtle, tapping her phone screen once. Darius does not see it properly, but he feels the air shift, like someone just chose a side without making a speech about it. Out on stage, Pastor Lyle tries to keep momentum. "And now," Pastor Lyle says, "we're going to take a quick live moment with our station partners in the studio." The crowd cheers. The camera swings towards the studio doorway. Brent steps forward first. Brent, not Darius. Brent slides into the shot, smiling like a man who belongs there. And behind him, Darius and Imani are forced to stand back, half hidden, like they are background staff. Humiliation number 2 lands on camera. Pastor Lyle's smile falters, just slightly. "Brent, is Mr. Whitaker coming on?" Brent laughs into the mic. "Pastor, we're keeping it tight tonight. You know how live goes. But we love Mr. Whitaker. We love what he represents." Represents, not is. Represents. Like Darius is a concept, not a human being. The crowd's cheers turn into confused murmurs. Imani can feel it. Darius can feel it. That moment when a room realizes something is off, but they do not yet know what. Pastor Lyle tries again. "Mr. Whitaker, come on up, son." Darius takes one step forward. Brent puts his hand out again, right there on camera, right there in front of the congregation, a palm that says, "Stop." And Brent smiles as he does it, like he's calming a child. Darius freezes. He hears whispers start. Why's he holding him back? That man just won the award. Is he okay? Darius looks at Pastor Lyle. He does not want to cause a scene in a house of worship at a fundraiser with elders watching. So he stays still. And that restraint, that discipline, makes the moment even uglier because the whole room can see who is creating the problem. Imani leans close to Darius. "We are not small. Not today," Darius whispers. "Not today." Pastor Lyle clears his throat. "All right, we'll keep the program moving. Choir, come on back." Applause comes again, but it's thinner now, uncertain. The choir sings and the music is beautiful, but the joy has a crack in it. Backstage, Brent exhales like he's won something. He turns to Darius, voice low, smug. "See? Easy. No drama." Darius looks at him. "Why?" Brent shrugs. "Because I know my audience." Imani's voice is quiet. "Your audience is here, in that room." Brent's eyes flick back to her hair again, like he cannot help himself. "And look, just some advice. If you're going to be around media, maybe consider a more polished look." Imani holds his gaze. "My hair's neat, my clothes are clean, my posture is straight, my dignity is intact. The only thing unpolished here is your character." Brent's smile drops. "Right. There it is. Attitude." Darius steps forward, still calm. "Don't talk to my wife." Brent lifts his hands. "Aggressive." He says it again, like he's stamping it on Darius's forehead. Keisha shifts at the soundboard, jaw tightening. A security guard at the corridor glances over, suddenly alert. Because Brent's tone has been designed for that. Designed to make others see Darius as a threat. Darius notices it, and he makes a decision. He turns away from Brent and walks towards a side door that leads into a quiet hallway, pulling Imani with him. Imani follows, breathing hard now, angry tears threatening. They stop in a corner by a vending machine, bright fluorescent lights washing everything clean and cruel. Imani whispers, "I want to go back in there and tell them exactly what he said." Darius nods slowly. "I know." Imani's voice shakes. "He mocked my locks like I'm dirty, like I'm unfit, like I'm embarrassing you." Darius cups her hand. "You're not embarrassing me. You are the reason I stand straight." Imani squeezes his fingers. "So what do we do?" Darius stares at the floor for a second, thinking. Then he says, "We get the truth, the real truth, not just his words." Imani blinks. "What do you mean?" Darius looks back toward the studio door, then down the hall. "I have felt something off with that station for a while," he says. "Those small business owners, the ones that call me, asking why their adverts never run even after they've paid. The way they keep offering packages and donor spots, but the black-owned businesses never get prime time." Imani's eyes narrow. "You think it's deliberate?" Darius nods. "And he just admitted he's afraid of something. That license review." Imani whispers, "So we find out." Darius pulls out his phone. "I'm going to call Pastor Lyle after the program. Not in the middle, not in the sanctuary. After." Imani nods. "And the businesses. We ask them for their invoices, their emails, everything." Darius breathes out. "Yes, we build the record." A soft voice appears behind them. "You don't have to guess." Keisha stands there with a coil of cable in her hand, eyes wide like she's just crossed a line she can't uncross. Darius turns. Keisha." Keisha swallows. "I heard everything. I heard him call you aggressive. I heard him say presentable donor, and I heard what he said about your wife." Imani's chin lifts. "You heard it." Keisha nods. "And I recorded it." Darius pauses. "You recorded it?" Keisha looks down at her phone, then back up. "Station policy says we record all feeds. For quality. For compliance. Brent thinks that means he's safe, but the hallway mic was hot, the backstage mic was hot, the studio door mic was hot. Imani's eyes widen. So you have it all. Keisha nods again, firmer now. I do, and there's more. Darius stays quiet, letting her speak. Keisha steps closer and lowers her voice. You're right about the adverts. I've seen the logs. I've watched them take money from black-owned businesses, then push their spots to dead hours, or mark them as rejected for brand fit after payment cleared. Then they offer refunds months later if the business owner complains enough. Imani's mouth opens in disbelief. That's robbery! Keisha's voice cracks. It's worse than robbery. It's humiliation, because they make people beg for what they already paid for. Darius closes his eyes for a second, pain flickering across his face. He knows those business owners. He knows their kids' names. He knows which ones are barely surviving. He opens his eyes. Why are you telling us this? Keisha looks at Imani's locks, then back at Darius, and her voice steadies. Because my dad had a little shop, she says, and that station took his money too. He died thinking his business wasn't good enough to be on air. Silence. The fluorescent lights buzz. Then Darius nods once. All right, Keisha whispers. They're in the middle of license renewal. That's why Brent is jumpy. Any complaint, especially with proof, could cause serious consequences. Imani's expression changes, not to revenge, to purpose. We don't want to destroy, she says softly. We want to correct. Darius looks at her, proud and hurting at the same time. Yes. Keisha hesitates. If you go public, they'll come for me. Darius nods. We won't let you stand alone, Imani adds. And we won't throw a grenade and walk away. This has to be about the community, not our ego. Keisha exhales, relieved. Then I'll send you the audio. Darius gives her his number. Keisha types it in, then pauses. And Mr. Whitaker, she says, Brent doesn't know everything. Darius tilts his head. What do you mean? Keisha looks around the hall like walls have ears. I've overheard finance calls. They've got another fear. Something about the tower lease. Darius's brow furrows. Tower lease? Keisha nods. The broadcast tower land. There's been talk about underpayment and old paperwork and somebody in legal saying if the landowner ever looks closely, we're finished. Darius goes very still. Imani watches his face. Darius. He swallows. My granddad. Imani blinks. What about him? Darius looks away, mind moving fast now. My granddad owned land out by the ridge near the old water tower. Imani whispers. That's where the station's broadcast tower is. Darius's voice lowers. He left a trust. Small, quiet, mostly land. Old leases. Imani's eyes widen. Are you saying... Darius exhales, almost a laugh, but it's not funny. I'm saying we might not just have a complaint. We might have leverage. If you're listening right now, I want you to pause for a second and tell me in the comments. Have you ever been labeled something you're not, just to make you easier to dismiss? One word they used to shrink you. Drop it below if you feel comfortable. Because the lesson in this story is about what you do after they try to define you. The fundraiser ends with prayer and hugs and photos. Darius and Imani smile for the pictures. They keep it civil. They do not spoil the night. But when the last choir robe disappears down the hall, Darius finds Pastor Lyle near the pulpit. Pastor Lyle's face is warm, but his eyes are concerned. Son, I saw something. I didn't like it. Darius nods. Pastor, I didn't want to disrupt your house. Pastor Lyle shakes his head. I appreciate that, but my house is not a stage for anybody's disrespect. What happened? Imani speaks, voice calm, controlled. The station manager blocked him from going on air, called him aggressive, said they needed a more presentable donor, then mocked my locks. Pastor Lyle's jaw drops. He said that? Darius nods. We have it recorded. Pastor Lyle's face hardens. Recorded. Keisha's audio lands in Darius's inbox before they even reach their car. Darius sits in the driver's seat, engine off, and presses play. Brent's voice fills the cabin, smug, casual. Presentable donor, aggressive, that hair. Darius closes his eyes. Imani stares out the window, blinking back tears that now have somewhere to go. Pastor Lyle listens on speaker and goes silent. When it ends, Pastor Lyle exhales slowly. All right, we're going to handle this with wisdom, but we're going to handle it. Over the next week, Darius and Imani do not rush to social media. They do what most people never expect. They get organized. Imani calls the small business owners she knows through the community program, the ones who have sponsored the station's gospel hour, the ones who have paid for shout-outs, the ones who were promised prime slots. She asks for invoices, emails, screenshots. At first, people are hesitant. Then, when they realize Darius and Imani are not chasing clout, they start sending everything. A barbershop invoice with premium package highlighted. A black-owned pharmacy email chain where the station suddenly says, brand fit concerns, after taking the deposit. A child care center receipt with no airtime logs attached. Darius and Pastor Lyle sit with a retired accountant from the church, a woman who does not play games with numbers. They compare payments to airtime. They compare promised slots to actual logs. They find patterns. They find excuses repeated word for word, like a template. They find that presentable was not a one-off. It was policy hiding behind polite language. And meanwhile, Darius goes to his mother's house and asks for the old box, the one in the closet that nobody touches because it carries grief and history. His mother brings it out, dust thick on the lid. Inside are documents in yellowed folders, Granddad's handwriting, lease agreements, land survey maps, a trust deed. Darius runs his finger over the paper like he's touching his granddad's palm. And there it is. A lease, a broadcast tower lease. Address matches the ridge, station name matches the call letters, rent amount listed, and in the margins, a note in his granddad's scrawl. Adjust yearly. Do not let them underpay. Darius's throat tightens. Imani sits beside him on the floor, reading over his shoulder. They've been underpaying, she whispers. Darius nods. For years. Imani looks up, eyes sharp. So we do not threaten. We renegotiate with conditions. Darius nods again. With reforms. They request a meeting, not a fight. A meeting. They ask for the station's board, their legal counsel, and the general manager. They also invite Pastor Lyle, and they invite a community representative from the Small Business Association. They choose a neutral location, a bright conference room at the community center, no dramatic lighting, no secret corners, just sunlight through blinds and a table that forces people to face themselves. Brent Caldwell arrives late, carrying a coffee like he's still in charge. He looks at Darius and Imani and smirks. Wow, he says, you really couldn't let it go, could you? Darius does not answer. Imani does not answer. Pastor Lyle looks at Brent like he's something stuck to a shoe. The station's lawyer, a woman with tired eyes, opens her folder. Let's keep this professional. Darius nods. That's exactly why we're here. He slides a printed transcript across the table. Brent glances at it, then laughs. What is this supposed to be? Darius taps the page. Your words. Brent's laugh fades. You recorded me? Keisha is not in the room, but her presence is. Brent turns toward the lawyer. This is illegal. The lawyer's eyes scan the transcript, and her face tightens. Brent, be quiet. Imani slides another folder forward. Invoices, emails, airtime logs, evidence stacked like bricks. We're not here because of hurt feelings, Imani says. We're here because the station has been taking money from black-owned businesses and denying them equal access. And you used the word aggressive to justify pushing my husband off air. Brent scoffs. That's ridiculous. Pastor Lyle leans forward. I saw you block him on camera. Brent shifts. It was a live broadcast decision. Darius looks at him calmly. Then explain why you mocked my wife's hair. Brent's cheeks flush. I didn't mock. I was advising. Imani's voice stays quiet. You were demeaning. The station's general manager clears his throat, sweating slightly. What do you want? Darius takes a breath. This is where most stories go for destruction. This is where people fantasize about watching the other side burn. But Darius thinks of the elders who still tune in for comfort. He thinks of the community announcements. He thinks of the young musicians who got their first play on that station. He thinks of Keisha's father. So he says, "Reform." The general manager blinks. "Reform?" Imani nods. Equal ad policy, written, public, and audited. Clear placement rules, refund timelines, a complaint pathway that does not punish people for speaking up. Pastor Lyle adds, a public apology for what happened and a commitment to training staff so this does not repeat. The lawyer rubs her temple. "And what's your leverage?" Darius slides the final folder across the table. The tower land lease, the trust deed, the underpayment calculation with dates. The lawyer's eyes widen as she reads. She looks up slowly. "Where did you get this?" Darius meets her gaze. "From my granddad." Brent's face drains of color. No, that can't be." Darius keeps his voice steady. "The Whitaker family trust owns the land lease beneath your broadcast tower. Your station has been underpaying for years." Silence hits the room so hard, it feels physical. The general manager's mouth opens, then closes. The lawyer sets the papers down like they're hot. Brent whispers, "You're lying." Imani tilts her head. "We're not the ones with a pattern of dishonesty, Brent." The lawyer exhales. "If this is accurate," Darius nods. "It is." The general manager's voice goes small. "We can fix this." Darius looks at him. "Not with a quiet check and a handshake." Imani leans in. "With a new lease." Pastor Lyle nods. "With a scholarship program attached for local students, media, audio engineering, journalism, paid placements, real opportunity." The lawyer's eyes flicker, calculating. "You're asking for a lot." Darius's voice stays calm. "We're asking for what should have been normal." Brent suddenly stands up, chair scraping. "This is extortion." The lawyer snaps, "Sit down, Brent." Brent points at Darius. "See? Aggressive. This is exactly—" Darius cuts in quietly. "No, that word does not belong to you anymore." Brent's mouth opens. Nothing comes out, because the room has shifted, not with shouting, with truth. Over the next month, the station signs a new lease. The underpayment is corrected with a repayment schedule. A written equal advertising policy is published. An independent audit is agreed twice a year with community oversight. A scholarship program launches in Darius's granddad's name. Keisha is promoted formally and protected by policy. Brent is removed from his role, not by a viral cancellation, by a board decision backed by documented misconduct. And one Sunday morning, Darius and Imani sit in their kitchen, sunlight on the counter, coffee steaming. The radio is on low in the background. A presenter's voice is warm, calm, different. A black-owned pharmacy advert plays at a normal hour, not at midnight, not hidden, normal. Imani listens, eyes shining. That's what it was always meant to sound like. Darius nods slowly. "Fair." Imani reaches across the table and touches his hand. "And do you know what I keep thinking about?" Darius looks at her. "What?" Imani smiles softly. "They tried to shrink us with one word. Presentable, aggressive, suitable. And all it did was reveal what they were hiding." Darius exhales, a quiet laugh. "They thought the mic was theirs." Imani nods. "But the truth has a way of finding its own volume." Darius leans back and his voice softens into the kind of reflection that stays with you. "Here's the lesson, and I want you to carry it. When someone tries to label you to control you, do not become their story. Become your own evidence. Stay calm, stay clear, stay grounded, and build your receipts. Because dignity without strategy gets dismissed, but dignity with strategy becomes accountability. And accountability changes rooms, policies, and futures. If this story moved you, do two things for me. First, hit like if you believe respect should not depend on how presentable someone looks to the wrong person. Second, comment one word that describes what you want to see more of in your community. Fairness, courage, unity, accountability, or something else. And if you want more stories where the power shifts without bitterness, where truth does the heavy lifting, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because we're not just telling stories, we're reminding people what dignity looks like when it refuses to bend.